Listen, I have some of these handwritten notes, and unlike BuzzFeed and other organizations that let unredacted information out without checking into, I don't think it's responsible to put all the handwritten notes out until we check the information out.
And we know the handwritten notes were written by, too?
Bruce Orr, the Justice Department official, Bruce Orr. That's what Congress has been told. And these notes are from a December 11th meeting. Let me set the table. It's 1 month after Donald Trump has won the election. It's 1 month after Christopher Steele, the opposition researcher, British intelligence agent, has been fired by the FBI. The Democrats are still in shock. I assume Lisa Page and Stroker still sorting through their feelings after the election. And all of a sudden, Bruce Orr goes to a coffee shop in Washington, and he meets Glenn Simpson. That's Christopher Steele's boss, the owner of Fusion GPS, the Clinton research firm. And he gets a memory card, a thumb drive of documents coming to Bruce Orr. Bruce Orr is not in the counterintelligence team. He's not an FBI counterintelligence person. And in fact, his wife worked for Fusion GPS, so he might have a conflict of interest under the Justice Department rules.
Or does.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's for lawyers to decide. But clearly, it's an issue that's been flagged, right? And he gets this, and he gets a series of admissions that he writes down in his notes. And I think these are so important. I'll just go through them quickly. One, Simpson acknowledged he encouraged Steele to leak a story just before the election as a Hail Mary attempt, obviously to throw the election. Now remember, Glenn Simpson testified he only pursued this information because he thought it was good citizenship. It wasn't about politics, it was about being a good citizen. Here you see him telling his friend who takes a note, it's about elections. Here's another one. He doesn't have any sources in Moscow where this alleged plot is. It's an intelligence agent who's now living in the United States. That's a red flag for all the intelligence people I talk to. Sounds like compromise, not a real intelligence source. And he goes on, he talks about this incredible theory he has, which is really there were 3 spies in the Trump campaign. First it was Manafort, he got booted. Then it was Carter Page, he got booted. So then Michael Cohen must have been the third link because, well, he's married to someone who knows somebody in Russia. And he puts all this down, and Orr's taking it, and 2 days later, Orr takes it out, and he runs it over to the FBI, and he does an interview and tells them what it is. And why is this important? The FBI fired Christopher Steele and said it was going to not take any more information from this political opposition research operation, but Bruce Orr is the guy walking it in the door after the firing. It has to concern people at the FISA court, has to concern professional intelligence people like I talked to today who looked at these notes and said, this is the worst form of intelligence gathering we've ever seen.
It's called corruption. Sarah, you're working on a couple of stories yourself. You want to add to all of this?
Well, I think John laid it out perfectly when he talks about what happened with Bruce Orr. The bigger question here, I think, after all of this information has been released, is who authorized Bruce Orr at the Department of Justice to be the back channel for the FBI, Sean? And another question is who at the FBI was authorizing this? It had to have been McCabe. Could it have been McCabe? Could it have been somebody above McCabe like Comey to use Bruce Orr as the back channel for Christopher Steele? They knew he had been fired. He had violated their protocol. He had violated all of the rules. He had been dismissed, but they were still using him. I think these are some of the biggest questions. And John's right, because the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, that's something that I've been looking at. They will be and they are very concerned about what happened, because this affects the ability to trust the Bureau, the ability to trust those people in counterintelligence that are giving them the information. This is supposed to be factual. They are supposed to have facts. They attributed everything in that FISC. If you read the application, what's been released, they say this is absolute fact. We know Carter Page is a spy. He's working with the Russians. We know this. We know that.
Why isn't he arrested?
And that's right. Why isn't he arrested? And one more quick point. They left out all the information on Bruce Orr out of that application. They did not inform the FISC court of what was going on. And that's the biggest problem here.
All right, so Russian lies get the, I want to go into all this. There's so much to unpeel here. You got the FISA court lied to on multiple levels. There's a fraud committed to the court. Then you got Strzok and Page, and of course Comey writes the exoneration. But you got them saying we're going to stop them, and they have an insurance policy. Then you got Glenn Simpson here. Now he wants to throw a Hail Mary with, again, unverified Steele dossier. Steele doesn't even stand. He doesn't even stand by his own dossier when under oath. But now we got an oligarch from Russia kicked out of the country. You got Orr, Steele talking about bringing him back in and spreading misinformation, lying to the American people to sway an election, and then lie to a FISA court, get into the Trump campaign, and then using the information after to take down the president after he beats all of this crap.
historic, rampant corruption by the FBI and the Department of Justice. Robert Mueller should do the right thing, end his investigation, and make an announcement that the accusations of Trump-Russia collusion were nothing more than a hoax. Every day, thanks to John, Sarah, and others, there are new revelations that the evidence against Trump was simply invented. It was conjured out of thin air. There was never any real evidence.
What about all these Russian connections?
The FBI,
and an Adam Schiff talking to a Russian.
The FBI knew that this was fake. They knew that Steele was a liar.
Not rank and file. Very important.
No. But Comey and his Confederates knew that it wasn't real. They didn't care. They knew that Steele was a liar. They fired him for it, and yet they kept using him even after Trump was elected and inaugurated. There was never any plausible evidence.
Real quick, because we got to run, guys. We're up on the
I was just going to say, on Sean, and they used a foreign spy. If you want to see any connections, look at the connections between the Democratic Party, Russia, and a British spy. Those are the connections.
All right. I have your articles on Hannity.com. You got to read it in detail. Great reporting, all three of you. Thank you. When we come back, Ed Henry has an explosive report. Joe DeGeneva, the great one, Mark Levin. We got a busy night here. Stay with us.